Good evening, Chairwoman, Commissioners. My name is Daniel McCaffrey, and I live in Clark. My backyard actually backs up to the Clark Reservoir. That's why I'm here tonight to speak about the Clark Reservoir potential project. My family and I will be directly affected by any potential changes made by the county in this area. My concerns lie with the scope and magnitude of this project. I've seen the posted plans for this, and personally, I don't think it's necessary or appropriate for this area. This is entirely a residential area. We currently have 3 Union County parks within a square mile of each other that are often underutilized. Oak Ridge Park, Esposito Park, which is actually on the same road as this proposed park, about a quarter of a mile down, and then the new Rawway Park next to the Rawway Middle School. All of these are Union County parks. Most of the time, with a few exceptions, these parks are often empty. I don't think that we need to add a Boatcraft-like amusement park, and I say that respectfully, but a Boatcraft-like amusement park to this residential area just because you can or because there's undeveloped land. There's something to be said for leaving the land undisturbed. The reservoir is a beautiful natural preserve. I look at it every day from my deck. I love it. And by adding this project, hundreds, if not thousands of trees will have to be removed and the wildlife potentially will be ruined. I'm not a tree hugger, but I think this is a waste of county resources and an enormous overdevelopment or overreach to this pristine area. I saw a bald eagle 2 days ago flying over the area, flying over my house, and there's tons of wildlife that will be severely affected by this project and the habitat intrusion. I do understand and agree that the reservoir should be dredged in certain areas. This is expected and somewhat routine maintenance, and it should be done for the long-term survival and preservation of the area. However, the projected location for these plans are off. Do we really want to add, or do we need to add a splash park or a walking path around the entire reservoir, a train to go around the area, splash parks? I already pick up the garbage from the few people that travel there's an undeveloped path currently, and from the people who travel that, I'm picking up their garbage, cleaning it up. I can only imagine what that could evolve into if there's an area that's being proposed or that is encouraging people to walk back there. The reservoir is a beautiful natural resource that we have in our county, and I fear that this project will ruin this residential area and fail to be maintained. I'm asking if you would please consider scaling it back or just doing the dredging and leaving the reservoir as beautiful as it currently is and how it's been for the last 100 years. Thank you very much.
Nancy Twaskis, Clark. I'm coming before you a second time to voice my concerns and opinions about the plan for the Clark Reservoir. Even though I'm not directly affected by the reservoir project, I'm here to support my fellow townspeople because that is the type of town Clark is, neighbors helping neighbors. I am part of the Clark Reservoir Committee. We are a grassroots group that has been door knocking and soliciting signatures online for a petition against the overdevelopment of the property, affecting 4 locations in particular, but many more residents along the reservoir. As of this date, we have over 850 signatures. They break out with approximately 600 from Clark, 50 from Cranford, 49 from Rawway, 37 from Union, 26 Linden, 20 Westfield, and 14 Scotch Plains. I have a copy of the online petitions and paper petitions that I'll leave with the clerk. It is obvious from the support we receive from the community surrounding Clark, all are in agreement, asphalt parking lots, trains that intrude on people's privacy are not what is desired. The county is crying out for green space, passive recreation, nature, peace and quiet. How many of you have door knocked on the homes off Wendell Place, Lefferts Lane, Lakeview Boulevard, Francis Drive, Featherbed Lane? Maybe answer that one after I'm done. That brings me to my next topic, democracy, a word that is used over and over and over by elected officials. I looked up the meaning of democracy, and here's what I found. Democracy is a noun, a system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives. You as commissioners are elected officials, and maybe there are those who would love a park and a train and a walking path, as long as it is not in your backyard. The Clark residents who have the most to lose in housing value are not in that group. They have most, if not all, of their life savings in their homes. I ask you to listen to the most effective residents of Clark who moved there because it was a quiet, residential town of single-family homes where you can raise a family, kids play in the street, neighbors know their neighbors. That's what makes the fabric of a community. Let's turn the ship around of overdevelopment around and save a little patch of woods in Union County. My next topic is funding. From a suit, docket number UNNL 001724-24 between the county and New Jersey Conservation Foundation, I see the project received $40 million, including at least $30 million from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, also called the COVID-19 stimulus package. That $1.9 trillion stimulus package passed by the 117th United States Congress and signed into law by President Biden on March 11, 2021, is designed to speed up the country's recovery from the economic and health effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and recession. I looked up the 2010 Union County Parks Master Plan, and there are all sorts of references to trails, linking trails, and it lists a lot of towns, but not Clark. I don't see kiddie trains, carousels, boat ramps, fishing piers, parking lots. Let's use that $40 million to accomplish this master plan or give the money back to the taxpayers. I suppose the need for trains, parking lots, boat docks, fishing piers, carousels, clock towers, etc. are urgently needed by the Union County community, but the residents of Clark that I've spoken with are not interested in it. I hope you will work with the citizens of Clark who are speaking out in objection to the size and scope of the Clark Reservoir proposed recreational area. Consider the homeowners on Wendell, Lefferts, Francis, Lakeside, and more. Think of what their lives are like now and envision their lives with parking lots, boat trailers, people they don't know on walking paths that cut alongside their yards, kiddie train whistles blowing while they're relaxing or having a barbecue. I have done that talking to the people, and it's heartbreaking. And the saddest part is they think they can't do anything about it. They say government
Thank you.
will do what it wants.
Sure, thank you.
Good evening, Delia Collins, Clark, New Jersey. I walked the area the other day on the opposite side. I guess the backyards along Gertrude Street, along King Street, Yorktown, Charles, Catherine Street is the widest area, and the end of their roadway goes right almost into the parts of the reservoir border. These homes are right there. I mean, a 10-foot path is going to ruin their lives and ruin the lives of the animals that live within the area there that is wooded. Also, I made some bullets regarding safety. Who's going to patrol the area and how long are they going to be there during the operation of the train, of the carousel? Are there going to be patrols at night when things happen? Preventative measures on the docks and boat ramps. I've seen children the other day jump off the bridge on Madison Hill Road on the Rahway side, trying to get into the water because of the weather. They're literally jumping off the bridge. On Raritan Road, you're going to have, from what I can see, a pedestrian signal crossing, and also on Madison Hill Road in the same area where the bridge is, and we're going to have the educational center. And these the pedestrian signal traffic lights do not work. I travel Walnut Avenue in Cranford mainly daily, and people just ignore them. Children cross, women with carriages, kids on bicycles, dog walkers, they don't stop. And at where this Madison Hill light would be, that's a down slope. And even though they have a low speed limit, people do not do that speed limit on Madison Hill Road. I have an article from 2021 regarding the county officials say Clark Reservoir stated for restoration. Back in 2001, at that time, board chairman was Alexander Marabella. And I have a quote from him here stating that the parcel of land in Union County for nature conservation and public recreation. We are approaching the restoration project with great care. Creating a plan for Clark Reservoir is one of our priorities announced by the chairman this year. By putting the time and effort now, we can ensure that Union County residents and visitors can enjoy the unique natural resource for generations to come. Another official said the original vision of open space network linked by waterways and greenways. This is by former Commissioner Christopher Hudak. There are many opportunities to provide recreation activities as well as nature conservation at the Clark Reservoir. Back in 1920, as a conservatives became alarmed over the rapid development and pollution of the area, despite these challenges of acquiring open space preservation for densely populated regions. The present chairperson wrote, preserving open space in our densely populated area has been a priority for the Union County residents for generations. Those who precede us left a legacy of beautiful parks that are used by residents of all ages and provided for conservation areas to promote healthy biodiversity. The restoration of the Clark Reservoir will serve our generations legacy for the future. And this was by our county commissioner chair, stated in 2021. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire LeBruno, Clark. Good evening. I'm here to express my opposition to the proposed project at the Clark Reservoir. In the past 10 years, the reservoir has changed from moving water to stagnant muck the birds walk across. Dredging and aeration is needed. However, the scope of the project is too large, it's too costly, and it presents too many unknowns and negative impacts. There's destruction of wildlife habitat, there's animal displacement, sound pollution from the removal of the trees that act as a barrier for the parkway. And the parkway is being widened, so that's a double effect that's not even being measured. There's air pollution from the removal of the trees at the parkway or around the parkway and the effect on the human health. There's a benefit to natural areas to human mental health. That's the Japanese concept of tree bathing. We're turning wooded land into impermeable space. Has it been determined that this will have a net positive effect on the flooding that happens in Clark and also downstream in Rahway? The precedent was already set by the citizens of Cranford when they successfully fought the county and the Union County College athletic facility that was planned for county land on Nomahegan. And it was changed because of on the basis of tree destruction and the effect of flooding. And that facility is now in Oak Ridge. There are security concerns posed by creating additional access points to private property, who's gonna patrol it and who's gonna pay for that. And we're turning a small, narrow residential street in a neighborhood without through traffic into an access point. The plan itself, the train, the carousel, the ice rink, what's the purchase price of all these things? How many full-time equivalents has the county planning to hire to maintain it? And what are the costs? Are they already budgeted? Is this a diesel train? Does the county claim energy awareness or clean energy goals? Wheeler has fees, Ponderosa does not. What are the fees gonna be at this area? Regarding the comments that this is for the families, for what families? Normally, families don't spend $10 every time they go to a neighborhood park, and it's a relatively small park bordering yards. Echo Lake Boats, Wheeler, the Roy River Park Pool, Waranaco, none of these pay facilities border housing the same way that this proposal does. The next is the condition of the county parks. My understanding is the county now employs less maintenance workers than the county did 15 years ago. If all this money exists, please rehire some of those workers and maintain what exists instead of adding more. Esposito Park, half a mile away. Parts of the fit course are missing or were destroyed by skateboards and never replaced. There's missing signage that denoted an environmentally sensitive area. The weeds are choking trees and poison ivy vines. There are old mature trees being choked that have died, and also the new trees that were planted as buffers to the existing homes from the park. There are decaying uneven boards on the bridge that pose a trip hazard. The gravel path hasn't been maintained. Most dramatically, the drop-off from the eastern bridge to the path is 2 inches to 9 inches, depending if you walk on the left or right-hand side of the bridge. The rose bushes at the entrance and around the commemorative plaque to the commissioners are long gone. Poison ivy covers the walking path in the summer. Vines and weeds cover the mileage markers on the path. At Roy River Park, you're missing a pathway on the most frequently used path from the pool parking lot past the tennis courts to the track. It's trampled ground, turns into a mud pit during rainy weather. And at Oak Ridge, the vines are choking trees. The condition of the historic home demonstrates the county lacks either the funds, the ability, or the desire to maintain it. And a cynic would conclude it's being left to collapse so the deed can be ignored. We citizens have been subjected to endless overdevelopment of private property. Each time we're told it only represents negligible impact, whether it's trees, flooding, schools, roads, sewers, but we do not live in a vacuum, and cumulative change is not negligible. The county should not be adding to the problems. The scope creep in this project proposal is astounding. We are not maintaining what we have, and natural land requires less maintenance than developed land. If development is mandatory to accomplish the needed restoration of the reservoir, let it be phased with the goal of creating options for passive recreation appropriate for the property and with minimal impact on wildlife and residents.
Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Got some feedback there. Good evening, Commissioners. Daniel Green, I live in Clark on the Reservoir. I want to give you a little glimpse of the future that the residents who live on the reservoir may be experiencing. Let's say it's 2026 and the residents of Doris Way and Wendell Place in Clark are waking up to a beautiful morning, enjoying their view of the Clark Reservoir in complete privacy. Fortunately for them, Union County has not built any public walkways in their backyards. Meanwhile, the residents of Francis Drive had another sleepless night. They wake up with knots in their stomachs. Their health is failing due to the stress of incessant strangers walking within inches of their homes. Every second, they worry about invasion of their privacy and criminals breaking into their homes. They can no longer enjoy their pools or decks. They spend their lives in darkness inside of their homes with shades drawn in a desperate attempt to keep strangers from peering into their windows. Residents of Francis Drive tried to sell their homes to escape this nightmare, but no one wants to buy them because the county's walkway is just inches away. They are stuck in limbo, unable to escape the situation that Union County has put them in. They can't sell their homes and get the funds they need to buy another home elsewhere. Union County has created a living hell for them. Their lives are a total nightmare that no one should ever have to experience. There is less than 50 feet between the homes on Francis Drive and the reservoir water line. The proposed walkway would take up to 10 feet of that space. The proposed walkway would be in the riparian zone easement where no walkways or structures of any kind are allowed according to the rules of the New Jersey Conservation Foundation easement and the New Jersey DEP. Our decision to own and stay in our homes was based on this protection. The county application to the DEP claims an exception to these rules is justified because there is compelling public need to improve access to the Clark Reservoir, and being that it does not currently exist, these exceedances are justified. How does this need override the compelling need of private property owners' legal rights to quiet enjoyment and privacy, since the public, noisy and nosy, as has been proven many times elsewhere, will be 0 feet from their property lines, pools, and homes? There is no other park in Union County that has such extreme intrusive invasion of neighboring property owners' rights to peace, privacy, and security. A similar intrusive plan was proposed for the Ponderosa Park with noisy amusements and no buffer zones. The adjoining residents petitioned the county to correct this, and the county revised the plan accordingly. The same consideration must be extended to the residents of Francis Drive and other similar areas along the Clark Reservoir. The public will have full access to the reservoir at the new St. Agnes Park. Walking around the shoreline from St. Agnes Park behind Francis Drive to Raritan Road does not improve their access, since they can't do anything with the reservoir edge across that stretch. It'll be fully wooded and no view for such a walkway. They will have other walkways to walk on along the north shore of the Central Lake adjacent to public areas and enjoy the views, fulfilling your mission. To protect residents, invasive walkways and noisy amusements such as the proposed kiddie train line and carousel must be eliminated from your plan, because they would threaten both the natural habitat and the quality of life that all the residents of the Clark Reservoir cherish. We propose a right-sized scope for the reservoir project, focus on essential dredging, and aeration, together with passive recreation and appropriate buffer zones to protect residents, and no walkways in their backyards. Francis Drive deserves the same consideration that has been extended to Doris Way and Wendell Place and Winthrop Road on the county's concept plan, which shows no walkways in their backyards. These concerns pose an existential threat to the residents of Clark. We are backed by petitions with over 800 signatures, and that number is growing every day. The county must revise their plans to remediate these concerns and engage the Clark Reservoir Committee and other concerned residents to provide detailed input on the development plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Susanna Savelli. I'm from Clark. I don't have a prepared statement like that, so hopefully I don't go all over the place. Thank you for letting me speak. I've lived in Clark for 20 years, and I do see things that needs to be done in the reservoir. I see how there's green slimes coming down sometimes. There's definitely things that needs to be done, and I'm glad that the county is trying to address something. Now, we all are feeling inflations. Everybody is feeling that we need to tighten our belt. I'm hoping that Union County would do the same, tighten the belt, and only spend on what you really need to spend, not on just what we wanted to do, just because there's money there. I think if there's extra money, maybe we should be cutting our taxes instead. I think everybody's complaining how the county taxes keep going up, and it's like out of control. None of us can control it. So anyway, I think in addition to the dredging and the aeration, which is really a must, which I would appreciate the county just focusing on those kind of areas, and if you have money for it, that would be great. And it's a long-term maintenance project that we should set aside money for the future as well. And any other things that we want to do that is park-related. As other people have mentioned, there are 2 other county parks so close, within a couple miles of the reservoir. Why are we trying to cut down all these trees that addresses climate change for us for free, and cutting down all these trees to build more parking lots, when there's other open space parks nearby that we don't need to cut down trees because it's just all grass right now? I think that as a taxpayer, we get we actually get a penalty. We get penalized if we cut down a county tree. So why is this group allowed to cut down hundreds of trees? I'm not sure. In addition, I think other people have also mentioned about the safety issues, besides the community issues of affecting all these neighbors, especially the ones whose walking path is right next to your property. The safety issues of having a parking lot at the end of Wendell Place, to make a parking lot by cutting down trees, hidden in the woods with a boat ramp. To me, that's just asking for trouble, safety-wise. As you know, teenagers, this would be a great hangout because it's hidden from the public. As you can imagine, what would happen? Loitering, littering, underage drinking, smoking, drugs, whatever, leading to possibly, when people are under the influence, there's a boat ramp, you can get easily pushed into the water. I mean, I can see a lot of safety issues besides the community impact of all these traffic and kids being affected playing on the street. There's a real safety issue here. Who's going to address that? Is there somebody going to be a 24-hour monitoring police there? I don't think so. Like I said, because it's hidden in the woods, you are really, really asking for trouble. So I don't want to repeat myself, but I appreciate the county trying to address certain things that needs to be addressed, like aerations and dredging. There are a lot of swamps along the reservoirs that needs to be cleaned up. I would appreciate if the county wants to address those kind of things. But anything extra outside of that, maybe if you want to put a choo-choo train in, put it in a place where there's already open space where you're not cutting down trees on, if you really feel like it's so important to have one. We have one within a couple miles. There are 2 other parks you can put it on. Do not cut down trees just for that. It takes 100 years for these trees to grow. I mean, you can cut it down in 2 minutes. We are so concerned with climate change in this world right now. Why are we doing it on purpose? So anyway, I think I addressed all my issues right now. Thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Victor Jacobson. I'm a disabled veteran and a Ground Zero survivor, and I live right here at the end of the Clark Reservoir. I don't know how well you can see that, but it gets like this in the summer. It silts up, and it stinks pretty bad. And whenever you dam up a reservoir, whenever you dam up anything, you're condemning it to a process of siltation, and over the years, you end up with what I just showed you. So I think it's a great idea that you're going to dredge it. 154,000 cubic yards of silt. That's a lot of mess that's going to have to come out of that reservoir and be tracked through Clark. But what I'm really interested in is, after that's done, aeration. Large lake aeration is a very important part of it's like taking an aquarium and scaling it up. Has anybody ever had an aquarium and let it just turn into muck? Well, I have, and it doesn't look pretty, and it doesn't smell good either. But large lake aeration, Kimberly, if I send you some videos that show what large lake aeration will do, will you please share it with Victoria and the rest of the commissioners here? Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Good evening. Michael Schulman, Clark, New Jersey. I'm going to take a bit of a different approach, I think, than the folks who have spoken. I don't think it's more than obvious that this is an issue that the commissioners need to address. I think the concern that many folks from Clark and the other towns have is how to do so, how to have that dialogue with the folks who are sitting up there, because we've hit a bit of a brick wall in terms of any kind of local representation, and I'm not sure how much the folks we have in Clark who are in charge of our local government have reached out in an attempt to try to come up with a plan that works for all the stakeholders, because that's who this is going to affect, is the people in Clark and on that reservoir. But how can these folks who have organized, who have come with, I think, incredible passion and ideas, what is going to be their recourse? I'm hopeful that they're not going to get the same blow-off that they've gotten when going to that first level, right? They've exercised that right to say, the folks who are supposed to represent us seemingly so far haven't. But this thing, this park, in some form or fashion is going to happen. And how can it happen where all the stakeholders are satisfied? So I'm hoping that these commissioners can work with the residents of Clark, who are important, who are frustrated, I think, with getting a lot of no's from where they're getting right now, but hopefully can create a dialogue, whether that's directly with the organizers here, these wonderful community organizers, or whether it's actually speaking with the people who should be doing this. Because there should be people coming to these meetings that aren't in green t-shirts, but that are elected to actually advocate for the folks in the town. But if that job isn't being done, I'm asking on behalf of these folks, who I don't think need anyone on their behalf, they are rambunctious and passionate, but if someone can please actually dialogue with them, don't just hear them out and move on, actually make sure that there is someone accessible to these individuals, because like I said, they have 800 plus people in a petition. And some of you know I've run for office. It's hard to get 800 people to sign anything. So I'm asking you folks to really give them a line of communication to you, so there can be a sit down and hopefully a revision of what the current proposal is. Thank you.